So welcome to As the World Works. Today I have a very special guest, Jon Ruff, who is the president of Spire Realty Group in Texas. Say hello, Jon.
Good afternoon, Sam. Hello.
Hello. So I've known Jon for the last 5-6 years. I worked at Spire Realty Group before I split off to form Workspace Construction. And very happy to have you today to talk to us about real estate in general, about Spire Realty Group, and sort of your general worldview of real estate in general.
This is the quarantine edition.
This is, as you notice, we're both kind of wearing t-shirts, but it's Friday. It's the Friday quarantine edition.
Perfect. Perfect. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So tell us a little bit about Spire.
So Spire is a kind of fully integrated real estate services company that's been around since the late 80s. Historically, we've done primarily office, although we've done other things as well. We've ventured into hotel and condo development, as well as had a few retail projects along the way. Most of what we've done has been value add in nature, and along the way we've developed a myriad of services to that end. So now we have everything. We have a leasing team that we don't necessarily use exclusively. We do have some third-party relationships that we rely on for leasing. We've got a property management team, obviously, project management team, asset management. So we really do it all, and we've done it with a partner for an extended period of time, and now branching out and doing it with other partners as well, and really trying to expand our platform.
How do you see the expansion of your platform, given the state of the union as we speak, and opportunities out there? Are you optimistic?
I'm always optimistic.
That is true.
But at the same time, I'm trying to be realistic. I think that the truth is I don't know, and I don't think anybody really knows. It's mid-May of 2020 right now, and there is more uncertainty than anything else. Understanding, when people are going to come back to work, how people are going to work, and trying to adapt to that. And then that's all in addition to what opportunities exist in the capital markets, and challenges for that matter. So we're weighing all of that on what seems like minute by minute basis, but it is very fluid at this point, and we want to be in a position to act whenever the time is right.
It seems like my experience, obviously closely with Spire, is that it's a small shop that's very nimble and very service oriented, and you're very cognizant of that approach. And that seems to be, I'm not going to put words in your mouth here, but it seems to be a key differentiator for Spire in the market and market competitors, right? So what else is there? How else do you look at Spire as a unique sort of platform?
Well, the interesting thing about real estate investment, and our experience is a little different than most groups, because we are this services platform, and that's what we do and what we've always done. But we also, because of the unique nature of our relationship with our equity partner, we've had the experience of being owners as well. So, we like to say we think like an owner, which a lot of people don't do. And, we do that because that's who we've been. The interesting thing about real estate investment is that it's not passive investment in any way. You know, operators can and do have real positive and real negative impacts on returns, and we're very mindful of that. And so, you know, we're you know, even outside of what's going on today in the normal course, if you will, you know, we're mindful of that. But certainly now, you know, trying to maintain relationships and communication with our tenants to understand what concerns them, how they're going to operate, and understand, you know, what their challenges are, so that we can respond to those, and A, keep them in place and operational to the extent that we can, but B, to provide an environment that is safe and comfortable for others as well.
So you've seen, I don't think you've been around since 1985.
I've been around.
Around Spire. When you started in the early 90s, and even life in general in Texas, because I know both of us were born and raised in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We've seen cycles. And what do you think, and this compares to no other, but what do you think before this has been the most dramatic change in real estate and commercial real estate in general? What's been the big disruptor?
I think the biggest change that I've seen is the amount of capital that's been drawn into commercial real estate. And it has, a lot of that capital is what I consider non-traditional real estate capital. You know, historically, real estate capital has been very opportunistic, entrepreneurial, and adventurous. And as more institutional capital has found its way, and I use that term very broadly, but as it's found its way into the real estate market, inevitably what's happened is real estate has become more of a commodity and has been viewed as a commodity. And it's anything but that. You know, to what I was saying earlier, I mean, we have tangible impact on the assets. And that's not the way a commodity typically is viewed. And so, you know, we've pushed very hard against that notion that every building is the same, and that every investment is the same, and tried to be very focused on the unique attributes of each asset, and to address those individually.
So, as I've heard you say, numbers matter. When you look at a deal, when you're analyzing leases and any transaction, it brings me to a point of when you're looking for talent. Let me talk about you for a second. You came from, your background is you played high school football. You went to Trinity University. You studied a non-traditional route that would get into real estate. And you can fill in the gaps here as you will. And then you got into the debt side, I believe, the equity side. The equity side, then transitioned over into Spire and started out kind of just when it was sort of grassroots, right? And then over the years you became president, which is what's sort of, to me, unique about Spire is it's not a traditional corporate conglomerate, if you will. You guys look at things very personally. You take people in the equation very personally, and balance that out with the numbers as well. So how do you, looking back at your career, what advice would you give a younger Jon or someone out there looking at our world and looking at opportunities that may present themselves in the near future?
Yeah, and you know, I've been fortunate enough to have a few people along the way ask me those types of questions. Younger people ask for my advice, and I try to give them. I think I give them the same advice individually. Don't take anything for granted. Everything's an opportunity, but nothing is easy. And you can make life easier on yourself. You can graduate if you want to be in the business that I'm in. You can graduate with a degree in real estate finance, which now exists, which didn't exist when I was coming out of school. But you can check the boxes, the appropriate boxes, to make things a little easier. But that doesn't mean it's easy. Everything is difficult, and just because you didn't check those boxes, just because you didn't make it easier on yourself, doesn't mean that you can't be successful. But it takes a lot of hard work, and I don't think that most young people, or maybe even most people, really appreciate what hard work is. And what commitment is, and to be successful, you essentially have to beat everyone else that is competing against you. There's only one winner, but that doesn't necessarily mean everyone else is a loser. But if you really want to be successful, if you really want to climb the mountain, you have to have the perspective that I'm going to do whatever I have to do, whenever I have to do it, to beat out those around me, and success can be found, but it's not easy to find it either. So
to be the best is finding out what also drives you, right? Because otherwise you're just sitting in a seat.
Well, that's what I was going to say too. Yeah, it's I think you have to be honest with yourself about who you are and what you want out of life, what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not willing to tolerate, and balancing those things. And success is a very individual pursuit, and it doesn't mean the same thing to all people. It shouldn't mean the same thing to all people. But whatever your definition of success is, you should never give up on it. You should try your hardest to achieve it. And I think generally you will. I think the hardest thing that people have, the people find. Let me rephrase that. I think one of the things that is very difficult for people to accept is what their own definition of success may mean, instead of just the general definition of what they think success is. And oftentimes, what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do are not compatible with whatever you think your definition of success is. And so you have to frame success around who you are as a person and what matters to you.
So you transitioned into being the president within, in the last several years. And what is that role? How is that role? What is that role like?
It's exciting. I think maybe the biggest thing about it that I didn't anticipate was the weight that comes along with it. WEIGHT. It's real. It's palpable. There's real consequences, not just for me, but for an entire team of people, and you have to be okay with that. And I am, but I didn't fully. Probably didn't fully get that at the time that I took the position.
So what fires you up about commercial real estate in general? What lights your fire? And what do you look at in the future that keeps that fire in your belly? What is it that is exciting to you about the future of real estate, commercial real estate?
real estate the commercial real estate is one of the oldest industries that we know. But there's still a lot of room for growth, and still a lot of room for opportunity. And, by no means has it been perfected. And that excites me. It excites me that there's room for improvement. I think as long as there's people on this earth, they're going to need places to work and live and play. And, I think there's a lot of stability in that. The uniqueness of each asset as I mentioned earlier, is really enticing to me, and really being able to get your hands dirty with it and understand those unique attributes, and accentuating those unique attributes for the success of the project are exciting.
You've been, so like I mentioned earlier, you were an athlete in college, in high school. You're a triathlete now. So you've been an athlete pretty much all your life. How is that translated into your stamina and I think I just answered it. But how has that helped motivate you, discipline you, drive you? How has that helped in general in your role and in life?
I love sports, and I always have. When I was a kid, I really didn't need anything other than a ball, and it really didn't matter what shape it was. I'd figure out something to do with it. But I think what sports taught me more than anything, and when I was younger, certainly, I played more team sports, like I think most kids do that play sports. And there's real value in that, in my opinion. The idea of teamwork, the concept of working together for a common goal, the notion that the sum of the individual parts, being greater than the individual pieces is really means something to me. As now, not I don't play competitive team sports. Like I think most people my age don't, but I still have that desire to push myself, that desire to find my limits, if you will. And the individual side of sports, really has shined a light on limitations, and age does that too, I think. And you wake up one day and you just don't have in you what you may have had in you yesterday, and you have to find a way to deal with that. And you can either pack it up and go find something else to do, or you can figure out a new way to do it, to get around it, to still achieve what you want to achieve. And it's real, and it's challenging. And I'm just a big believer that if you're not challenging yourself, you're really selling yourself short. And so I constantly try to find things that challenge me, whether they be physical or mental or otherwise, because I think that's what life's all about.
There's a book you were recently reading that talked about reaching our limits. And what was the quote from? What was the book?
The book I think your book you're referencing is a book called Endurance.
Endurance.
And it's about it's written by a runner, an endurance athlete, and the entire book is about limitations, different types of limitations, and overcoming limitations.
And there was one part that you said, we really never know our full potential or our true limit.
No, I think that's right. my takeaway, at least from what the author was saying, was it's a constant search. We're constantly in search for our best, but we can never really know where that limit is, because the other side of that limit is a cliff, and and you can get really close to your limit, but you can't really survive on that cliff. You're either going to fall off and die, of physical exhaustion, or you're not going to get there. And so it's this constant struggle of, how do I get better? How do I get closer to that edge, and not ultimately fall off that edge?
So your wife, Kathy's a big reader. I know you read. I think I lost you there.
I'm coming back.
Hey, welcome back. So
sorry, my phone rang.
Your wife, Kathy, I know is a big, like an avid reader, right?
Yeah.
So what are you reading right now?
So I am reading the second book in a series by a Texas author. I'm trying to remember what the name of the movie was. The first one was made into a movie, and had Matt Damon played the lead in it, but it was about
All the Pretty Horses.
All the Pretty Horses, yeah. So I'm reading the second in the series there, in that trilogy, by, what is his name? Cormac McCarthy, I think, is the author. So I'm a big I love history, and I love Texas, and I love those books.
So what's the one thing you can leave us with about what's your mantra? Do you have a personal mantra?
No, I don't think that I do. Or if I do, I've never, I've never really slowed down enough to to let it stick. But I do tell people all the time, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And I believe that. I believe that's true in everything in life, business certainly. And that's the challenge I always give to my team is, did we get better today or did we get worse today? There is no middle ground. So that's, I guess maybe if I had to pinpoint one, that's something that I rely on a whole lot. Sorry about that.
Would you tell us that about this prickly pear shiner box that you just found?
I don't know that I found it. I found it for myself, but I think it's been out there. But yeah, well, maybe it goes back to my love for Texas. So yeah, all things Texas, I'm a fan of. But yeah, no, it was good stuff. The prickly pear seasonal shiner box. I highly recommend it. I just bought 6 more.
Look who just sponsored the show.
Yeah, there you go. They
See how that happened?
Yeah, exactly. I've promoted them on Instagram, and now I've promoted them here. I'm not even getting paid. No.
You haven't seen it in the mail yet. It's coming. Hey, Jon Ruff, thank you. If people want to know more about Spire Realty Group, go to the website, spirerealtygroup.com.
Spirerealty.com.
Spirerealty.com. And you can find out about Jon. You can find out about the team. And you can even find his personal email on there, I believe. If you have any questions.
Can. Yeah. You're welcome to it.
Do you want to give it to them if they have any questions?
It's Jon R at spirerealty.com.
There it is. Jon, thanks for joining us on As the World Works today. Appreciate your time, brother.
Thank you, Sam. Stay safe.
All right, brother. You too. Bye.